A diamond drill cuts a cylinder of rock out of the ground and brings it up whole. The cylinder is called core. It is laid out in wooden trays, in order, exactly as it came out of the earth. Then somebody splits it down its length, and this is the part that matters. One half is crushed and assayed. That half is destroyed to find out what is in it. The other half goes onto a shelf, and it stays there. Nobody crushes it, and nobody throws it away. It is kept so that anybody later can test the same rock and get the same answer. That shelf is the whole verification mechanism of mineral exploration. It costs almost nothing. Between 1993 and 1997, a company drilled more than 60,000 meters of core in Indonesia and split none of it. The company was Bre-X Minerals, a small Canadian outfit founded in 1989 by a man named David Walsh. In March 1993, it bought a property in the rainforest of Kalimantan, on the island of Borneo. The site was called Busang. Another company had explored it already and found nothing worth having. Bre-X drilled and reported gold. The previous owner had walked away from the same ground. The reported assays came back rich. The company kept drilling and kept reporting what it found. By early 1997, the company was claiming a deposit of more than 70 million ounces of gold. It would have been one of the largest gold discoveries ever made. Bre-X was worth about 6 billion Canadian dollars. Barrick wanted it. So did Placer Dome and Freeport and Teck, and each of them sent people to look. The advisors were the best available. J.P. Morgan, Royal Bank, Sullivan and Cromwell, Price Waterhouse, Kroll. Every one of them was working from the same source of information, and it was the only source there was. The samples came out of the ground at Busang and went to a laboratory to be assayed. They did not go directly, and the journey is the whole of this story. Every bag delivered to Samarinda had to be opened, to confirm the core logging and to check for damage in transit. The assay laboratories downriver at Balikpapan sat waiting for work. No samples moved unless somebody authorized the shipment. There was a well-equipped preparation facility at the site itself, and it went largely unused while the backlog of core grew. The bags were opened in a room, and in that room somebody added gold. The gold was panned from the rivers. It was ordinary alluvial gold, of the kind local Dayak people wash out of the river gravel. And that is why, in the end, it could be caught. But nobody looked at it for 4 years. In more than 60,000 meters of logged core, not one geologist recorded seeing visible gold. Consultants examined the samples independently. One mineralogist went through them and reported finding no gold in any of them at all. 103 thin sections were cut from rock chosen to represent the whole deposit. Gold appeared in none of them. Nobody had seen it, because in the rock it was never there. The geologists at Busang did not go out to the drill sites themselves, which is not how the job is done. The laboratory was not asked to run a fire assay, which is the standard method. It was asked to leach the sample in cyanide for 36 hours instead. The metallurgical tests said something stranger still. More than 90% of the gold could be recovered by gravity alone. And the recovery did not change however finely the rock was ground. Gold, locked inside stone, does not behave like that. Loose gold does. And nobody ever asked for the other half of the core, because there was no other half. The reason given was that the whole sample was needed. All 14 kilograms of core from every 2 meters drilled required for an accurate result. It is not a good reason. It was accepted for 4 years. One question would have been enough on its own. Could a single deposit hold 8% of all the gold known to exist on Earth? In 1996, Barrick bought a different company with a different gold deposit in Peru. It did not have to drill the deposit again to check it, because that company had kept its core splits. In early 1997, Freeport began its own due diligence at Busang and drilled its own holes. They drilled into the same ground that Bre-X had drilled and assayed what came up. The same ground gave up the same rock and did not give up the same results. Freeport could not reproduce Bre-X's results. Whatever the assays had been reporting, Freeport's own holes did not show it. Strathcona Mineral Services was brought in to settle the question. Its first assessment was that a salt job was highly unlikely. So Strathcona ran a drilling program of its own, twinning the holes Bre-X had drilled, and spent about $1 million doing it properly. Their report was issued on the 4th of May, 1997. It concluded that there was no economic deposit. Roughly 16,400 samples had been tampered with, one bag at a time, over 4 years. When the gold was finally examined under a microscope, it was described as coarse, rounded, and with gold-rich veins. Rounded. Gold in hard rock is angular because it grew there. Gold that has been rolled along a riverbed is smooth. The evidence had been sitting in the samples the whole time, in the shape of the metal itself. Strathcona put the scale of it into a single sentence, and it is worth reading in full. Michael de Guzman, the chief geologist, had flown back to Indonesia from a conference in Toronto. On the way to the site, he fell from a helicopter. The death was ruled a suicide. It has been disputed ever since. The share price collapsed, and the paper certificates in the hands of investors became worth what the deposit was. David Walsh died the following June of a brain aneurysm before any of it reached a court. A fire had already destroyed the geological office at Busang with the survey and drafting records that were kept inside it. Young Canadian geologists on site had questioned how the work was being done. The group around the chief geologist stayed closed. In 1999, the Ontario Securities Commission charged John Felderhof, the exploration chief, with insider trading and misleading statements. The trial ran for about 8 years, among the longest in Canadian history. In 2007, he was acquitted of all charges. The judge found that the prosecution had not proved he knew the samples were falsified. Nobody was ever criminally convicted for any of it. That sentence is the honest end of the legal story. The gold exploration sector spent the years that followed paying for it. Money for exploration became very hard to raise. And then Canada built the thing that had been missing, which is the only part of this with a happy ending. A disclosure standard for mining, National Instrument 43101, setting out what a company must publish about a new deposit. And at the center of it, a qualified person. A named professional who signs the technical report and carries it personally. Not a company's word about its own rock. A named person's with a license to lose. The control that would have caught Busang was a shelf of split rock, and the discipline to keep it. That is what a material weakness is. Not the gold that was not there. The half of the rock that nobody kept.